I used to think that betrayal was something that happened in movies or on tabloid covers, not at your own wedding, in front of your entire family, in the middle of a champagne toast. But I learned that real life can be far crueler and far more public. My name is Kayla, and this story isn't just about how my marriage fell apart. It's about how the two people I trusted most turned my happiest day into the beginning of the worst year of my life. For context, I met Ethan when I was 24. He was charming, steady, funny in that dry way that sneaks up on you. And for a girl who had been burned one too many times by musicians and adrenaline junkies, he felt like a safe harbor. We met at a bookstore's, literally, like one of those soft-lit rom-com setups. He handed me a copy of a book I was reaching for, and we ended up getting coffee across the street. That same night, I told my best friend Rachel everything. Rachel and I had been inseparable since college. We lived together in our 20s, cried on each other's couches during breakups, and she even helped me move in with Ethan when we got serious. She was the sister I never had. So when Ethan proposed on a quiet Saturday morning in our kitchen, I didn't just call my mom, I called Rachel first. She screamed louder than I did. She even helped me pick the venue. She was my maid of honor, of course. I mean, who else could it be? She planned the bridal shower, the bachelorette trip to Austin, and she even held my hand through every panic attack that came with seating charts and vendor mishaps. Or at least, I thought she was holding my hand. Looking back, maybe she was holding Ethan's too. My wedding day was perfecter. At least it seemed that way. The sun came out after 3 days of rain. My dad cried walking me down the aisle. Ethan looked like he was actually going to faint when he saw me in my dress. People say time slows down on your wedding day, but for me, it was like I was floating until the reception. That's when everything unraveled. Right after the cake was cut and before our first dance, Rachel got up to give her toast. She looked stunning, as always, wearing this soft blush dress that brought out the green in her eyes. She clinked her glass and smiled at Meath, the kind of smile you only give someone you've known for a decade. And then she said something that will haunt me forever. "Kayla," she began, "you've always been the strongest person I know, the most loving, forgiving, generous person. So I hope that whatever happens after this, you'll remember that I love you, and I always will." People laughed nervously. I furrowed my brow, thinking it was some weird inside joke. But then she kept going. "I wasn't sure if I should say anything," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "But I've decided that the truth is better than a lie, especially on a day like this." And then, in front of 150 guests, including my parents, his family, and every person I'd ever loved, Rachel said the words that would shatter me. "I'm pregnant, and the father is Ethan." The room went silent. At first I thought it was a joke, a cruel, horrible prank, but she wasn't smiling. Ethan stood frozen beside me, his champagne glass still in his hand, eyes wide like a deer in headlights. My knees buckled, and I don't remember who caught me. Someone did. Maybe my cousin. Maybe a waiter. I just remember the sound of the glass falling, shattering, and the weight of my heart dropping even harder. Rachel stood there, not apologetic, not ashamed, just there. Like she'd been holding that inside her chest for months and finally exhaled it. I ran, out of the ballroom, down the hotel hallway. I didn't even know where I was going. I just needed to get away from the cameras, the gasps, the pitying stares. I locked myself in the bridal suite and screamed. Not cried, screamed. Into a pillow, until my voice gave out. And when Ethan came knocking on the door 10 minutes later, I didn't open it. I didn't want to hear explanations. I didn't want to hear "it just happened," or "I didn't mean to." Because the thing is, cheating is a choice. Lying is a choice. Standing beside someone at the altar while your mistress is sitting 20 feet away, carrying your child, that's not a mistake. That's a performance, and I was the audience. I stayed in that room for almost an hour. No one dared to knock after Ethan walked away. I heard the faint hum of music resuming, the forced laughter, the clinking of forks against plates. Somehow, the wedding limped on without me. But inside that suite, everything was dead silent except for the ringing in my ears and the thoughts screaming inside my head. I kept asking myself, when did it start? How long had this been going on? How did I not see it? And most of all, why Rachel? Why her of all people? I finally came out just before midnight. The ballroom had mostly cleared. My dress was wrinkled. My hair had fallen out of its pins, and I didn't care. I didn't cry when I saw the empty dance floor or the leftover slices of untouched cake. I didn't cry when I saw my parents standing near the bar, quietly furious. I only cried when I saw Rachel's bouquet on a table next to the card box, like it didn't mean anything. That's when it hit me. Nothing about this day had meant anything. Not to them. The next day, I packed a bag and left. I didn't tell Ethan where I was going. I stayed at my cousin's house 2 hours away and turned off my phone. For 3 days, I didn't answer a single call. I let voicemail after voicemail pile up, some from Ethan, some from Rachel, some from mutual friends who sounded like they didn't know whose side to pick. But on the 4th morning, I got up, turned my phone back on, and started scrolling through old texts. Not from Ethan, from Rachel. I needed to see it with new eyes. I needed to find the cracks. And when I did, they were everywhere. Late night, "Hey, just checking in on you," messages when Ethan and I had been arguing. The time she offered to stay at our place to watch the dog while we traveled, but Ethan stayed back for work. The birthday dinner she planned for me, where she and Ethan insisted I get a massage while they set things up. That massage lasted 2 hours. What were they doing during those 2 hours? I started screenshotting everything. Every flirtatious emoji I'd brushed off. Every suspicious gap in time between texts. And then, I went into our shared laptop. Ethan never changed his passwords. And I guess he thought I'd never look at the archived Gmail account he used for travel. But there they were, flight confirmations. A long weekend in Chicago. A second guest on the ticket, listed as RM, my best friend Rachel Monroe, booked 2 months before the wedding. While I thought he was on a solo work trip, I felt sick. I opened the photos folder. Nothing. Then the deleted items. That's where I found them. Pictures from their trip, Rachel in his hoodie, him kissing her cheek, a sonogram tucked in between the screenshots like a bomb waiting to explode. They hadn't just slipped up once. They were in love, or lust, or whatever you want to call it when two people stab the same heart with the same knife. That night I called Ethan, calmly. I asked him one question. Was this ever real? There was silence on the other end. Then, finally, he said, "I loved you, Kayla. But Rachel, it wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't plan it." I laughed. Actually laughed. That ridiculous excuse men always use, like cheating is some accidental detour they fell into. "You planned the wedding," I said. "You picked the cake. You stood beside me in front of everyone we love, and you were planning a life with her at the same time." His silence was louder than any admission. And then I told him not to contact me again, unless it was through a lawyer, because what he didn't know was that I had already spoken to one. And what Rachel didn't know was that I had kept a little secret of my own, something she would find out about very soon. But I wasn't going to explode it in front of 150 people like she did. I was going to do it quietly, deliberately, and with precision, just the way real revenge is served. 2 weeks after the wedding, I filed for annulment, not divorce annulment, because in the eyes of the law, if a marriage was entered under fraudulent circumstances, it can be declared null. Like it never happened. And that was the point. I didn't want to be Ethan's ex-wife. I didn't want any legal tie to a man who stood at the altar with a secret growing inside another woman. My lawyer said it wouldn't be easy, but we had enough. Proof of the affair before the marriage, evidence of deception, and even witnesses willing to attest to their suspicions. I gave her every screenshot, every email, every receipt. But I wasn't done. See, Rachel had made my wedding day all about her. She had stolen my moment, humiliated me in front of everyone, and expected to be the center of attention like always. But what she didn't expect, what she never saw coming, was that I had one card left to play. A week before the wedding, Rachel had asked me to co-sign a lease for her new business space, a boutique she'd dreamed of opening for years. It was supposed to be our next chapter, she said. I never signed it, but I did have a copy of the business plan, the investor proposal, and more importantly, the name she registered it under. Ethan's name was on the documents too. Turns out they were planning more than just a baby, they were planning a future. So I called the building manager, posed as a potential investor, asked if I could walk through the property. He let me in. And while standing in that half-finished boutique, with paint buckets on the floor and Rachel's design sketches pinned to the wall, I did something she never expected. I filed a complaint. See, Rachel had lied on the lease application. She'd claimed she had full financial control. But she didn't. Ethan was the guarantor. And Ethan, legally, was still tied to me. His assets hadn't been separated yet. So I froze the funds. Legally. I let the building owner know there was a potential fraud claim, and they paused all construction. Rachel showed up at my door 3 days later, fuming. She didn't even knock, just barged in like she still had keys to my life. "What the hell are you doing?" she spat, her belly slightly more pronounced now. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Taking back what's mine. You took my wedding, my trust, my future. You don't get to take my name too." She laughed. "It's over, Kayla. He's with me now. We're starting a family." "Then start it with your own money," I said. "Not mine. Not his. And certainly not in a building you got by lying to everyone." She threatened to sue. I told her to go ahead. I had the paperwork ready. The silence that followed was different this time. Not shock, not guilt, just cold, simmering rage. And it felt good. That night, Ethan called again, left a voicemail, said he missed me, said he was confused, said Rachel wasn't what he thought. I didn't respond, but I saved the message, because people like that always come back not out of love, but out of convenience. And I needed to be reminded. I posted one thing on social media a month later, a photo of me smiling in front of the courthouse. No caption, no tag, just peace. It got more likes than my wedding photos ever did. I never heard from Rachel again. Rumor has it the boutique never opened. Ethan's name came off the lease. And the last I checked, they're not together anymore. Maybe the baby was born, maybe not. I don't care. I rebuilt everything, quietly, on my terms. I traveled. I found a new job. I started therapy. And for the first time in my adult life, I chose myself. Not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but out of survival. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do isn't to scream or fight or burn it all down. It's to walk away. Knowing you could have destroyed them but chose to rebuild yourself instead. And in the silence that follows, they'll hear everything you didn't say.